time, the time is right. I'm gonna pack my bag and take this journey down the road. Over the mountain, I see the bright sunshine. Have a great rest of the day. I want to live inside the glow. I want to go to the place where there's nothing and everything that exists between here and nowhere. I want to go to a place where time has no consequences. Oh yeah. The sky opens to my prayer. So beautiful, 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 beautiful. Oh, hey, understand that my care. But right now, these walls are closing in on me. I love you more than I love life itself. But I need to find a place where I can breathe. Can breathe. I wanna go to a place where I can hold the intangible. Let go of the pain with all my mind. I wanna go to a place where I'm suspended in ecstasy. Somewhere between dark and light, where wrong becomes right. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. Yes, we got India Ari bringing us in today with Beautiful. You should know that the song lets you know that Tony must not be in the house. Your host is not here. The pastor, Tony Orr, is doing the work of the people, for the people, by the people. That is his job. That is his passion. That is his life. And that is what he is doing. That is what he is doing right now. So Pastor Tony Orr is not in the space. So I am serving as your host today. I'm the Reverend Doctor, but you can call me Denise, and I'm excited to hold it down for him, because that is one of the things that we have to do for each other. We got to learn how to hold it down, because there's sometimes when we just can't be there. We just can't show up. We just can't handle it because something else is going on. So how many of us are willing to show up for the other person, because we realize and we recognize how important that is? And so that's what's happening on today. I'm rolling solo in the house. This is the workplace at KABF 88.3, where we are the voice of the people. And the phone lines are already open at 501-433-0088. The phone lines are open at 501-433-0088. And we don't like to start any show without acknowledging how grateful we are to you. To all of you who are listening, we are celebrating this year 40 years of 100,000 watts of local non-commercial community radio. That is only possible because we are a member organization. It is because you donate to us that we are able to show up, to inform, to educate, to inspire, to engage. We are here because of you, and we want you to know that we don't take that for granted. We don't take that lightly. We hear you, we listen to you, we expect you, we anticipate you. We are waiting for you to be in this space. So again, phone lines are open at 501-433-0088. Call in and lend your voice to the conversation, because this is KABF 88.3, where we are the voice of the people. I have some announcements for you this morning. Want to let you know that this Labor Day weekend, August 31st, we're talking about Saturday, 2 days from now, from 3 p.m. to 10 p.m., One Love and the Young Community Advocates of Bearing Cross in North Little Rock, they present to you Arkansas Reggae Festival 2024, hosted by Santa Jean, the KOKY Queen. This is happening at Argenta Green Park at 300 Bishop Lindsay Avenue in North Little Rock, Arkansas. Early bird tickets are on sale now at www.arreggaefestival.com. That's www.arreggaefestival.com. There are going to be all kinds of people, Luton Fire, Droop Lion, Dynamic Sound, and more. Chinese Connection, Dub Embassy, Idol Job, LR, Little Rock All-Star Band featuring Tim Anthony and Butterfly. All of this is happening. The Arkansas Reggae Festival will be the most exciting event of 2024. Bring your lawn chairs, bring your friends, bring your family. There's going to be great music, great food, great beverages. There's going to be arts, and there will be a crafts market and festival t-shirts. The proceeds benefit the Young Community Advocates of Bearing Cross and North Little Rock. For sponsorship opportunities, for vendor opportunities, or for more information, dial 501-744-8842. For sponsorship opportunities, for vendor opportunities, and for more information, dial 501-744-8842. The Central Arkansas Library System, also known as CALS, is excited to announce that the 2024 Six Bridges Book Festival will be held September 23rd through 29th, 2024. This year's festival chairperson is Senator Joyce Elliott, a CALS board member and former high school English teacher. The event will feature award-winning, best-selling, and emerging authors in virtual and in-person sessions and special events. Most festival events will be free and open to the public. Most festival events will be held at CALS's Library Square in downtown Little Rock. Authors will continue to be announced throughout the summer. For more information, go to www.cals.org. For more information, go to www.cals.org. I want to take a moment and thank you for all of the high vibrations that you have been sending towards Joyce Elliott. She is now at home. She's no longer hospitalized after the stroke that she suffered a little while back. So we are grateful for the progress that she has made, and we continue to send her whatever your faith practice is. Some of you pray, some of you chant, some of you meditate, whatever it is that you do to make sure that you are engaging and holding space for the people in our community. Whatever that is that you do, we appreciate your continued space holding, your continued sacred times of thinking about former Senator Joyce Elliott as she continues to recover. Walking on Sunshine. Alzheimer's Arkansas, a community for caregivers since 1984, is also celebrating 40 years. Registration for walk teams and sponsorship is now open. The Little Rock Zoo on August 10th Helena UAMS East, September 14th. Conway Buzz Bowling Arena, September 21st. Hot Springs Exchange Street Parking Plaza, October 19th. North Little Rock Holiday Hustle, McCain Mall, December 7th. Registration at 8:30 a.m. Event starts at 9 a.m. Awards given out to the team with most participants present, the biggest fundraisers, and best banner in your category. Alzheimer's Arkansas is located at 201 Markham Center Drive in Little Rock 72205. The phone number is 501-224-0021. Phone number 501-422-0021. You can also go on the website at www.alzark.org, www.alzark.org/walk, or you can browse info at alzark.org, or you can browse info at alzark.org if you are interested in walking on sunshine to celebrate 40 years of Alzheimer's Arkansas. Malvern's first community-free store is happening on Saturday, October 5th from 11 a.m. until the supplies are gone. Hygiene items, clothes, a meal, home items, etc. This is sponsored by Arkansas Community Advocates, and it is located at 1702 East Page Street in Malvern, Arkansas, 72104. It's in the old Walmart parking lot. To donate and or volunteer, contact Christina Pratt at 870-807-0821. To donate and or volunteer, contact Christina Pratt at 870-807-0821. This is for Malvern's first community-free store. This is a free store that you can help to make sure that you are helping out the community. Also, Arkansas Community Advocates is hosting the Trunk and Treat with ACA. Arkansas Community Advocates is also hosting the Trunk and Treat with ACA. Bring on the goodies. All donations are welcome and appreciated. Everyone is welcome. Wear your costume, shop our free store, and get a free meal and get some treats. This is happening October 27, 2024 from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. Everybody is welcome. See you at 2603 Pike Avenue in North Little Rock. Hygiene items, home goods, clothing, food, Cash App, and Give Butter. Yeah, I don't know what that is. Give Butter? Cash App? I guess you could donate through your Cash App. Look, I'm just going to read what's on this paper, and then we can figure it out. It's nobody to call, though. I think the best thing to do is to show up and then ask whatever questions you have and be ready to donate through whatever mechanism you have, whether it's the app on your phone or you want to scan a code or whatever, a QR code, whatever it is that they're doing. But the Trunk and Treat is happening with ACA on October 27th from 4 to 7 p.m. and everyone is welcome. And if I am not mistaken, these are your announcements. Let us govern ourselves accordingly. I have to drink some water after that, y'all. Tony and I agreed that when on Thursdays, we want to try to make sure that we stick to the topic of the workplace, making sure that we understand that this is a space where we are trying to figure out how do we mobilize, how do we engage, how do we energize ourselves around making sure that people who are working in a workspace have everything they need to soar, have everything that they need to make sure that they are able to bring home the money that helps them take care of their families, but not just helps them take care of their families in a survival mode, but also helps them to thrive. So what benefits do they have at their job that allows them to have pension, to have a 401k, to have a 501b, 401k, 401b, a money market, like whatever those options are in your benefit packet that allows you to make sure that you have health insurance that is good health insurance. Because, some people will offer health insurance, but it's not good health insurance. So what is it that we can do to make sure that those people who have to show up every single day to work for someone else, what can we do to make sure that we are supporting them? What can we do to make sure that we are encouraging them? What can we do to make sure that they know that we are fighting right alongside them? What can we do to make sure that we are creating a space for them to voice their complaints if they have complaints? Because some people have complaints, but they're not sure if they are able to voice them because they cannot afford to lose their jobs. Like, how do we help people in these spaces receive the justice that they deserve as workers, as employees? So that's what the workplace is all about. So we want to make sure that we are sticking to that theme, to that mission and purpose of what happens here, because the workplace is underwritten by local union 100, local 100. Local 100 labor unions. I cannot roll it off my tongue like Tony does, but it is underwritten by them. And so we want to make sure that we are always staying true and staying firm to their mission to include people in the workplace and see how we can fight for them from this space. Hotep, I see you. What's up? Thanks for joining us. Thanks to all of you who are joining us, because I realize that even if I don't see you showing up on the live stream through the comments, I know that you are still here. There's a way that I can see that you are here. Some of you comment offline. Oh, let me just say that my number is area code 228-236-7440, area code 228-236-7440. Many of you hit me up offline to continue the conversation, and I have no problem with it at all. So thank you for all of the ways that you show up, whether you are showing up by listening on the radio, whether you are showing up while watching us live on Facebook, whether you are showing up globally, because we know that we have people listening to us from all over the world: Australia, Africa, Brazil, London. We have people that are listening to us all throughout the states, in New Mexico and Dallas. We know that you are present with us, and we don't want you to think that you are overlooked in this space. We absolutely feel your presence, and we appreciate you for being here to hold it down with us. I chose India Ari to source and ground this conversation this morning, because I think that the message that she's sending to us is one that we can absolutely grab hold to and hold it sacred, right? Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to pretend like India Ari is singing this song about beautiful because she's trying to seek justice. I'm not saying that at all. She might be, and I'm going to make a case that she is, but there's so many different interpretations that you can have about this song, which is really what we should think about all the time in whatever space we are in, whether it is a social space, a political space, a religious space, regardless of what space we're in, whatever we are talking about, whatever message we are that's on the table, whatever the content of the conversation is, there's so many different ways to interpret it. And we have to give space for everybody's interpretation of what is happening in that moment. And we've got to learn how to communicate effectively so that we understand that it is possible for two things to be right at the same time. So we can hold two things in the same space at the same time, even if they create tension with each other. It is okay to broaden, to open up ourselves, to say there's more than one way to look at this. There's more than one right way to do things. There's more than one route to get to the same destination. It is okay for you to be who you are in the context that you are in and still figure out how to communicate so that we can all move forward in the same direction. And so India Ari, when she's thinking about this, when she's writing this song, and she's writing these words about, I want to go to a place that's beautiful. And she begins to describe what that place is. Like, what does beautiful look like to you? And so I want us to think about that for a moment. When you are at work, what would beautiful look like to you? When you are at home, what does beautiful look like to you? When you are at church, what does beautiful look like to you? When you are at play, what does beautiful look like to you? Oh, that reminds me. Let me say something about Domino's in the Park. So I know for a fact that Tony will not be at Domino's in the Park on tomorrow night. We have not made an announcement about Domino's in the Park. So actually last week, it wasn't my expectation that I would go because we hadn't made the announcement. I wasn't expecting anybody to show up. But then Leonard called. Leonard doesn't even listen to the show, but he shows up at Domino's in the Park every single Friday unless something is going on with his wife or with his child. And so he called and said, hey, what we gonna do? And so Tony was like, let's do it. And he's like, what you gonna do? And I was like, okay, I'll go. And it was a really beautiful thing because we showed up because Leonard called. We had not made an announcement. Leonard called. So this is important for him. Every single Friday, this is something that he looks forward to. This is important to him. So we show up. And then, lo and behold, who comes walking through the park but Kiki and Tony? What's up? So they sit down at the table as well. And we share whatever libations we have. We share whatever snacks that we've brought. We share the opportunity. We extend the opportunity for them to play. You want to play? Like, I'll get up, I'll move, because we only have one set of dominoes. I'm going to have to bring more than one set, but we only have one set of dominoes. So we have to just kind of move around and make sure that people who want to play can get a chance to play. But then before we knew it, DA shows up. All of a sudden the truck is rolling up and stops. I'm like, who is this? And she said, I just was wondering tonight. I was just wondering if y'all would be here. I didn't know what y'all were doing, if y'all were going to be here. So I just wanted to show up. And in that moment, I just thought, oh my goodness, we need to make sure that we continue to create this space. Even if people don't show up, we're going to create the space just in case. And so Tony will be out on tomorrow night, but I'm going to show up to create the space. If you want to be there, that is fine. Yes, we do play dominoes. We've also got cards. We've got cards we can play. We've got Uno we can play. We've got chess we can play. We've got dice you can throw. Is that what you do? Throw the dice? I don't know. I've never done that with the dice, but I'm just saying we try to make sure that whoever is there has an opportunity to find themselves in the space. So it's not about playing dominoes. It's about community, because we talk about everything from politics to race, to racism, to gender, to toxic masculinity, to all kinds of things we end up talking about at that picnic table. And we have an opportunity to engage the rest of the community, because there's usually some children that are playing there. So we have an opportunity to encourage them, to pour into them. There are new nets on the basketball court. So people are coming out to play basketball. They don't want to have anything to do with dominoes, but we are still all sharing that space. So we want you to know that Dominoes in the Park is happening on every Friday night from 5 to 7. Yes, we do sometimes go past 7 o'clock. We go until we can't see anymore. I'm gonna be honest with you. You can leave anytime you get ready. Like, nobody's gonna hold you hostage. But we usually play until we have pulled out the iPhones, not just the iPhones, whatever phone you have. We've got the flashlight on coming from 3 or 4 different directions to make sure that we can see the board. And then when we can no longer see anymore, we walk away, just still continuing to love on each other in the spirit of oneness, in the spirit of community. So Friday night, tomorrow night, from 5 to 7, right here at Petaway Park. I will say this, Mike Orndorff has built another building on 21st Street. He's been advertising for quite some time that he was going to build a building, so this is not a surprise to us at all. But I will say that it does affect the way that the park feels, right? Like, it doesn't feel as open, it doesn't feel as welcoming, it doesn't feel as inviting, because all of a sudden you look up and there's this big brick building. So I noticed that on Friday. So whatever he's doing to help the community, he's doing it in his lane. And we've got to make sure that we are doing the work in our lane as well, so that everyone can feel seen, heard, and respected in all spaces. So Dominoes in the Park is happening tomorrow night from 5 to 7. But India Ari is talking about this place called Beautiful. And in the song, you can tell know that she is imagining this place, that this place does not really exist in her own physical reality. But when she thinks about what she feels in her soul, in her mind, in her body, in her spirit, what would she like to manifest? What would she like the world to manifest? This place called beautiful, where you can be everything and you can be nothing. You can be in a place where wrong becomes right. And I struggled with that particular verse, that particular phrase in her song. She says, I want to go to a place where wrong becomes right. And I'm like, wait a minute, you want wrong to become right? Like, I'm not understanding that, because I want wrong to be wrong. I want wrong to be punished. I want wrong to suffer. I want us to find justice. But then when I thought about it more, what I feel like she's saying is that we want to replace wrong with what is right. So we want to replace injustice with justice, right? We want to replace trauma with healing. We want to replace dehumanization with humanization. That's how I am interpreting it. Now, you are free to interpret it however you want to interpret, and to call in and say what it is that you think, to push back, to challenge, to agree. The phone lines are open, 501-433-0088. If I have not learned anything else in my 52 years, I have learned how to make space for folks, how to create space for other people's opinions and attitudes and thoughts and feelings, even if it causes tension. I was just over to a friend's house last night, and it was 4 of us, and we were having a conversation, and I kept looking on her. There's this piece of furniture that she has that holds a singing bowl, and the singing bowl has the little tool that you can use to go around the bowl, and it will make a sound. It's a meditative device, but we use it sometimes to reset the room, because we recognize that there are times when we are so passionate about what we are saying. An onlooker would think that we are arguing. An onlooker would think that we are about to go to blows. An onlooker would think that this is a toxic situation, when really it is just us making sure that we feel heard in the space. And when we think that we are not being heard, that it has moved to the place that it might lead to something going left, somebody gets up and goes and rings the bell to reset the room, to remind us to breathe, and to remind us that we are here in the spirit of oneness, just to exchange our ideas. And so that is what this space is about all the time at KABF 88.3 FM. Whether you are listening to music, whether you are listening to a DJ, whether you're listening to a talk show, whatever it is, we are creating a space for you to be able to exchange your ideas with us. So my interpretation may not be yours, and that's okay. Call in and tell me what you're thinking. So I believe that when she says, I want to go to a place where wrong becomes right, that she wants to substitute the injustice for justice. And what space is that? And so I was trying to think about that in the space of the workplace. And I thought about Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown. And there are some articles that I have saved from her that she's in the news right now, because she's talking about some of the decisions that the Supreme Court has made. And she's talking about her concern about these decisions. And so whenever there's a decision made by the court, when people disagree, they can write a dissent. So they can go on record saying, whoa, look, I need you to know that I did not agree with this. I know that this is the prevailing attitude. I know that this vote won because we're trying to use a democratic process by which the majority wins. But you need to know that there was somebody in this room who was trying their best to speak up for an alternative decision, and they did not win their fight. And so I'm going to go on record to let you know. And so I was been thinking about that, thinking about her, and thinking about what that means to be in a space, a workplace, where people who have more power than you, notice I did not say that people who have power as if you don't have power. I'm not suggesting at all that you don't have power. I believe everybody has power, which is why I do not like the word empower. I'm not trying to empower anybody. You already have power. What I'm trying to do is amplify your voice so that you can state and walk into and live into your power. And so she says people that have more power than you in your in your workplace. So you are an employee, you have a supervisor. You have power as an employee, but the supervisor has more power than you, and the supervisor has more power than them. And so what happens when you are in a space where the people who have more power than you are making decisions that you know are not right? You know they are not right. You know they are not fair. You know they are not just. You know they are not equitable. What happens to you in that space? How can we come alongside you in that space to support you, because we recognize that you are suffering under the weight of somebody else's decisions when you have not yet reached the point where you can make those same decisions yourself. Like you can be the one with the overriding decision. And I thought about that not just in the case of the Supreme Court justices. I just started thinking about, when I think about public school teachers, I know for a fact, I know without a shadow of a doubt that there are public school teachers who are looking at the legislation that's being passed by the legislators saying, you all don't have a clue as to what you are doing. You are binding our hands. You are limiting the growth. You are stunting the development of our academics, the academics in this place. You are stunting the growth of our students. You are causing division with our parents. Like you are creating a space for us in this classroom that simply is not healthy, but we don't have the power to override you. We've got power in our classroom, but we don't have the power to override what you are doing. So how do we help those teachers? I'm thinking about the woman that was at Jimmy John's. I love Jimmy John's. I'm not going to tell a story. I get the turkey tom. That's number 4. I add cheese. I want extra mayo, and I want onions put on mine because it does not come with onions. And I want the crispy jalapenos because I believe you need a little crunch in everything you eat. And so I was there one day going through the drive-thru, and I got to the window and I'm looking at the woman. She's looking at me, and she's Black. And I always, I don't care where I am. I just went to the Arkansas Museum of Fine Arts to listen to the artist talk with Lanisha Johnson. And when I walked in, I surveyed the room. That's what I always do. I saw a couple of Black folks. Okay. They were on, one was on one side, like on the east, and one was all the way on the west. I walked all the way to the east and I spoke. I said, I just want to speak to all the melanated people in the room. I want to make sure that I make contact with Black folks. I went all the way to the west and I did the same thing. Hey, I didn't say my name. I didn't try to find out their name. I just wanted you to know I see you. I recognize you in this space, and I am here in solidarity, whether you know it or not. And so I'm looking at this woman who's a reflection of me, because she Black, I'm Black, she woman, I'm woman, she's beautiful, I'm beautiful. And I'm like, girl, she was sweating like a pig. I'm like, girl, what's going on with you? She said, baby. When I tell you I love Black people, I love everything about us. I love our passion that comes through the way that we gesticulate when we talk. Some people that are onlookers might think that, again, that we're mad at each other, but this is really just the way that we embody what we embody language, we embody passion, we embody articulation. You have to see our whole bodies move. She put her hand down on that counter. She leaned over it and she said, baby, it's hot in here. I said, what? She said, it's hotter in here than it is out there. I said, that's not possible. She said, the air conditioner has broken down. What you mean the air conditioner? Why y'all still, I'm not understanding. And I said this to her, why y'all still up in there? If it's that hot that you about to pass out because it's so hot, why won't y'all close down till the air conditioner get fixed? And she said, I don't make those decisions. That's above my pay grade. I said, so does your boss know that y'all up in here about to burn up? She said, we called him. I said, what he say? He said, y'all will be all right. I said, he said, what? I said, wait a minute. I just want you to tell me right now. Just turn around and just tell me if everybody in that space is Black. Just tell me. You ain't got to say it out loud. Just nod your head. She said, I don't have to turn around. Everybody up in here Black. I said, okay. Well, let me just ask you this. Is your boss white? Is your boss? And I said, no. Look, you don't have to tell me if your boss is white or not. I'm not trying to make this about white versus Black. Just tell me, is your boss non-Black? She said, yeah. I said, so where is your boss? Girl, he don't come up in here. What? So your boss is at a remote location where there is air conditioning, having y'all suffer in this place where there isn't any air conditioning, because he's trying to make sure he don't lose these customers like me coming through this line to get this $10 sandwich. And she was like, yeah. I was like, okay, okay, okay. Thank you. I appreciate you giving me the information. I appreciate you sharing. I appreciate you letting me know. And so what I do, I've been thinking about this since it happened. So we circle back. Like we try to, okay, do y'all want to form a union? Because y'all need to be unionized, because y'all need to be able to exercise the power that you do have, because everybody has power. This world, because of the system of enslavement and the narrative that comes with it, making us believe, especially as Black folks, that all we are, all we have been, and all we ever will be are slaves. And so we believe most of the time that we are powerless, that we can't do anything. Girl, look, I just work here. No, 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 no. Whoever you are, wherever you are, there is a source of power that you have, that you can exert, that you can exercise, and you can do it in a way that will benefit you. So do y'all want a union? Now, it's up to you. Now, we can't make you unionize. We're asking you, but we're also letting you know that that's a possibility for you. You can tell on her face she hadn't even thought about it. Wait, what now? But we're not the only store, baby. It don't matter what store it is. It don't matter how many Jimmy Johns are. We just talking about y'all. And so what we need, okay, how can we support? So that's what, okay, let us help you figure this out. And so when we think about people who are in the workplace and they are in a situation where they do not have the most power, they still have some power. How do we come alongside them? So I thought about the Supreme Court justices. I thought about people who work in fast food. I thought about teachers. I thought about students. When you are a student in a classroom and you are hearing this rhetoric, because in Arkansas, they are now saying that you must absolutely, this before the end of this year, you have to talk about abstinence and you have to talk about being anti-abortion. I'm like, why are you going to talk about that in the classroom? Now, you can't talk about Blackness. You can't talk about the system of enslavement. You can't talk about what people misunderstand about the critical race theory. You can't talk about that, but you have to make sure that you talk to them about what it means to abstain and what it means to be anti-abortion. So what about the students who are like, I come from a household that don't believe that? How do we help them exert their power in the space? Because you don't have to. You don't have to listen to this. You shouldn't have to listen. You should be able to say, wait a minute, this is against my religion. This is against my thought process. This is against my upbringing. You ought to be able to say something. But a lot of times people don't know the power that they have because of the narrative that there are only certain people in power and everybody else is not. There are certain people who have more power than others, but everybody has some power. How do we help people recognize that within themselves first? How do we help you recognize that, boo-hoo, whatever you are believing right now is a lie? We live in a matrix. I need to take a hammer and tap this shell that is around you and break it so you can be like, oh, I did not know. I did not know. So that's how those of us who are not in those situations, that is our responsibility to figure out how do we shatter the narrative of this world to say, no, what you have been taught, what you have been conditioned to believe, what you are being programmed to understand is a lie. It is false. It is possible for you to find a place called beautiful, where wrong becomes right, where injustice becomes justice. There is a place where you can go that you can breathe. I was talking about my home. I was talking about how I work so hard to create a space that I call home, where when you walk through the door, now, not when you walk through the door, because I know it sounds bad, but you have to come through the back of my house, not because I'm upholding the system of enslavement where you got to come through the back door, but because there's no parking on the street in front of my house and I don't have a driveway. The people who lived in the house before I did, they took away the driveway. I didn't even know there was a driveway, but there used to be a driveway and they took it away. Like, why they did that, I have no idea. So you have to park in the alley in the back. And so because you have to park in the alley in the back, that's going to force you to come through the gate and then end up at the back door. That's if you know me. So my house is the opposite. People who don't know me knock on the door. So when somebody knocks on the door, I know not to answer it. Because if you knocking on the door, you don't know me. You here for some other reason. So I ain't studying you. So people who come through the back, like, I know you. You are invited into this space. So when you first walk in the room, I'm gonna be honest, it's what they call the mud room. I cannot keep it clean. It is my office. I cannot keep it clean. I have stopped trying to keep it clean. But there is a door to the office that is always closed. So the feeling that I want you to get is, oh, okay, this is where we take off our shoes. This is where we put our stuff down. Like, this is where we let go, like, just peel off the world. And as soon as we open this door, now you have come into my home. Now you are welcome into this space. And I've worked really hard to make sure it is a place where you feel comfortable. I work really hard to make sure that it is a place where you feel beautiful. I work really hard to make sure that it is a place where you want to say, hey, can you give me a blanket? Because I'm finna go to sleep on this couch. Hey, is it all right if I lie down in this bed? Like, because it's calming, it's soothing, it's comforting, it's healing, and it's designed like that on purpose, because there has to be at least one place you can go where you can breathe. India R. says, I'm looking for a place called beautiful where I can just breathe. And some of us, I thought, I'm going to be honest with you, it was my assumption. It's a story I told in my head. I concocted it on my own, that I thought everybody's home was your place of peace. I thought everybody's home was their sanctuary. I thought this is the one, especially for Black people, once you walk out the door, like, you are fighting. You are fighting for your existence. You are fighting to survive. You are fighting for peace. You are fighting all the time. So there has to be this one place. But I've come to learn that not everybody's home is a peaceful place. So I want to say, okay, well, if you can't go home, you can come over here. How do we create a place that's called beautiful, where people can breathe? How do we create a beautiful place inside of the workplaces? Some people say, there's this woman in our church who talks about how she started with, I think she started with just bringing coffee. I think that's how it started, if I got the story right. She started with just making sure there was fresh coffee in the break room at the school, because she's a teacher. And then so it started with coffee. And then somebody said, oh, I see what you're doing. I'm going to donate coffee to you to take to your school. So she's getting coffee outsourced, right? And then she decided, you know what? I think I'm going to bake some muffins or something. I don't know what she made, but she made something to eat. And she brought it in. And she was doing that on a regular basis, like every Monday. I don't know what day. I'm just going to say it was every Monday. And then all of a sudden, other people were like, you know what? I'm going to bring some grits. I'm going to bring some eggs. And so they started sitting down to eat. And then once they started sitting down to eat, they started talking. Once they started talking, they started creating space. Once they started creating space, they started to share stories. Once they started sharing stories, they started to bond. Once they are bonding more, they're starting to feel more human in the space. So they have created beautiful in this school, where they are dealing with all of this stuff in their classroom, because there has to be some place where you can breathe. So when we think about folks who are in the workplace, who have to go, they don't have a choice. They got mouths to feed. They got bills to pay. I got to go and punch this clock. I got to go and show up for this manager. I got to go up and deal with this dehumanization, because they talk to me like I'm crazy. I have to deal with it until I'm able to make my next move. Who is that say I make money moves? Is that Nicki Minaj? Until they can make their next move. Until then, where is their beautiful, and how can we help them to create it? Because a lot of us are like, well, I ain't got nothing to do with that. I ain't no teacher. Because there are some of us who even say things like, I don't understand why I have to pay taxes for schools because I don't have any children in the school district. Excuse me, every child is your child. Every child is your child. Every employee is your employee. Every supervisor is your supervisor, because if we are going to live into the spirit of Salbona that reminds us that we are interconnected by our oneness, everything that happens to somebody else is happening to you too. Every time somebody gets killed in the street, that's your neighbor. And especially you Christians who talk about, I believe in the Bible says you're supposed to love your neighbor like you love yourself. Oh, wait. I guess the question becomes, do you love yourself And then the other question becomes, can you love yourself? Because the other question becomes, do you know how to love yourself? And then the other question becomes, who taught you how to love? And then the other question becomes, who taught them how to love? Like, where do we get in this world? Where did our model of love come from? And is that a healthy model? And are we following a healthy model? So it's a lot of questions that we have to ask ourselves. It's an exercise that I use with people when I'm facilitating healing spaces, and it's called the 9 Whys. It's a liberating, what you call it? It's a structure. It's an exercise. It's an activity, if you will, where you begin to ask yourself question after question after question, just like I did. Like, the question is, like, do you love yourself? How do you love yourself? How do you know how to love yourself? Who taught you how to love? So you begin to interrogate yourself until you feel in your spirit that you've reached the answer. So 9 Whys is the name of it, but it may not take you 9 questions to get there. It may take you 15 questions to get there. But it's an exercise in interrogating yourself, in examining yourself, in questioning yourself, to ask yourself, wait a minute, are you even aware of what you're doing? Are you even aware of what you are thinking? Are you even aware of what you are manifesting? Are you even aware of the energy that you bring? Are you even aware of it? Are you even in tune with yourself? And a lot of times we are not able to live into the oneness of humanity because we don't even know who we are as humans. Because the world certainly does not teach us that. The world does not teach us how to communicate effectively. The world does not teach us how to tap into ourselves. The world does not teach us how to love ourselves. The world does not teach us how to embrace ourselves. The world does not teach us how to walk in boldness and confidence and be who we are. The world does not teach us that. That is something we have to learn along the way. And if you're like me, I'm 52. My journey didn't start till 2014. So 10 years ago, when I was 4, it took me 42 years to say, wait a minute, what is happening? What is going on? What world am I living in? So how do we figure out how to come alongside people who are in a workspace where they do not have the most power, and yet the people who have power are making decisions that they know are going to adversely affect them? That your decisions are making it worse for me. Your decisions are making it worse for the environment. Your decisions are making it worse for the customer, for the client, for the student. Your decisions are wrecking this place, and yet I don't have the power to override you. What do I do now? Where is my beautiful? Who's going to help me with this beautiful? Because some people don't know that they can do it all by themselves. But it only takes one of us. That one woman at Jimmy John's, we gonna help her. So Ketanji Brown Johnson, this one Black woman Supreme Court Justice, we gonna help you. We gonna figure out how to come alongside you because we can. Because many of us are saying, well, I can't eat. I can't help you because I'm trying to help myself, or I can't lose my job. Okay. If you're not ready to put your job on the line, that's fine. I'm not trying to force you to do that. I'm not trying to mess up. Look, I know you got bills to pay. We all do. But there are some of us who are living in a space where we're not bound by that. I'm not beholden to a boss. I'm not beholden to a mortgage. I'm not beholden to a paycheck. I'm not beholden to that. So those of us who are in this, we're retired. One thing I love about retired people, especially retired Black folks, look, I'm finally able to say whatever I want to say. Whatever comes up, comes out. I'm free now. It's free now. And so some of us are living in that space of beautiful freedom. And so how do we say, okay? And then as Black folks, we have to figure out how to do that in unity. But as privileged white folks, y'all got way more opportunity, way more access, way more resources to create this beautiful space. What you do, you want to talk about I'm progressive. Show me what your progressive looks like. What have you done lately for the retail worker? What have you done lately for the classroom student? What have you done lately for the government employee? Well, how have you used your privilege to amplify somebody's voice? How have you used your privilege to create a space? How have you used your privilege to pay for a space that somebody you're going to turn over to somebody else that can lead. I love the partnership that I have with my former supervisor. His name is Donald Wood, and he was the face of our organization, Just Communities of Arkansas, at the time, and I was his lead facilitator. And he had more access, he had more resources. Now, I got more degrees, I got more experience, I got more teaching and training, but he got the job and he has the resources, and he recognized that. And so his number one job in his mind was to make sure that he created spaces, that he got the contracts, that he went, I mean, he was working. I'm talking about hustling to get us the contract, and he was getting the contract as the face of the organization. And then when it was time to walk in the room and command the room, he would turn it over to me. Denise is going to lead you. Denise is going to power this space. Denise is going to be the expert in the room. And so what you going to do now? Like, you done already paid to be here. We got an agenda. We got it. Like, you can get up and walk out if you want to. Like, we're not going to stop you from doing that. But this Black bald woman is about to guide you to healing if you let her, if you're able to open up to her. But he recognized that I have the privilege to make sure that I create this space for her that she cannot create herself. Now, there are other spaces that I can create for myself, but these particular spaces, no way could I get my foot in the door. Soon as they looked at me, because I look like you can't fool with me. That's just my look. So what are you doing? You privileged people, not just white folks. All of us have some form of privilege. And one of the things that's another thing that we have to think about. Like, we have to think about the tension of walking into the room as the oppressed and the oppressor at the same time. Those of us who are formally educated and are privileged with the education that this world gives us, we come in as the oppressor to those people who have been denied access to that education. We have to know that we show up in that space that way. Even if I'm Black, even if I'm woman, even if I'm from the South, I have all of these identities that are oppressed identities, that are marginalized identities. I also have identities that are privileged in this space. And I need to know that I'm carrying both of them at the same time. How do I manage that? How do I navigate that? We got to talk about it. We got to figure that out. We got to, first of all, know that. So when India Ari says, I want to go to a place where I can breathe, we've got to get to these places where we are not working and grinding all day long. Some of us don't have time to breathe. We don't have time to think. We are doing so much. We're working so hard. We got a 9 to 5. Now we've established a business. We trying to preach. We trying to be in ministry. We trying to help the people. We trying to do, we so busy that we can't breathe. We're so busy that we can't think. We're so busy that we can't create. We're so busy that we can't innovate. We're so busy that we can't get ourselves free, let alone somebody else free. So how are we going to help the people in the workplace if we can't even help ourselves? India Ari is pushing us to think about, what does it look like? What does beautiful look like for you? Because your beautiful may not look like my beautiful. You might not be concerned about coming home to a house that feels calming. And so you might only need a bed. Look, I just need to lay I don't care what's going on up in here. I just need to lay, I find my peace in the coffee shop down the street. Okay. If that's what your beautiful looks like, okay, but you got to find your beautiful. And in finding your beautiful, you can help the rest of the world find its beautiful, because that is the charge. That's the charge that we have to keep, is to make this world a beautiful place, a place where we substitute injustice for justice, where we substitute trauma for healing, where we substitute this evil for good. That's the goal. How are we going to get there? And what are you, I guess the question really is, what are you willing to do? That's the space I've been living in lately. I don't think that we're in a space where we don't know the answers. I don't think we need another. I'm on this community advisory board where people submit research projects because they want to study something and they want to see how they're going to use the study to enhance the lives of the community. And when I tell you I'm sick and tired of the research projects that come before me where I say, we don't need no research project for this. You already know that there are disparities in healthcare. You already know that those disparities fall along the lines of race and gender and class. You know, why should we fund another research project for you to tell us what we already know? We already have the answers. What we don't have is the willingness. That's what we don't have. We don't have the willingness to do what needs to be done. When we look at this stuff that's on paper, these laws, it's words on a sheet of paper. And just like they wrote the words on the sheet of paper, we can write some more words to take over those words. We can get rid of those words and we can amend those words. Like, it is not hard. It is not difficult. We can declare that we ain't doing this no more. We are not going to live like this anymore. We already know. We see when COVID happened. For some people are calling it a blessing. I'm not going to call it a blessing, but I am going to call it an eye opener for some people. Because you're like, oh my goodness, I didn't know that there were people who were essential workers who were being treated differently than those of us who they can call non-essential workers. I didn't even know there was a distinction being made. Yes, ma'am, there is. I didn't even know how people felt about vaccines. Well, yes, there's a whole school of thought on both sides. And so it helped to open our eyes. And so I'm like, I'm all for whatever it takes to open your eyes. To ask yourself, are you willing to find beautiful? Are you willing to create beautiful? Are you willing to advocate for beautiful for somebody else? Are you willing to activate for beautiful for somebody else? That means get your boots on the ground, put your body on the line. Are you willing to do what it takes, whatever it takes, no matter how long it takes, to make sure that everybody is living in this place, in this space called beautiful, where we can breathe, where we can be seen, where we can be heard, where we can be respected, where we can thrive, where we can know that we know that we know that we know that we are divine, and I live into that every single day just as I am, because who I am is more than enough. I ain't got to be who you want me to be. That's not my goal in life. You don't get to define me, Audrey Laura says. I have to define myself, or else I'm going to be crushed by your definition for me. So I need the freedom, I need the space to be able to work that thing out. How do we give ourselves over to the willingness that says, I believe it is possible for all of us to coexist at the same time in this same world and have everything that we need to thrive? Even if we don't believe the same thing, even if we don't live in the same space, even if we don't go to the same school, even if we don't have the same education, even if we don't have the same political affiliations, even if we don't have the same religious associations, it doesn't matter. You're human. That's all we can say. Is you human? You human? Okay, well, this is your beautiful. Find your beautiful. Create your beautiful. Help us create it for everybody. India Ari is calling us into this space, and she's doing it in a very serious way because she is an activist. I said that you can interpret her song not to be about activism, but when you look her up, when you learn about her life, she's absolutely an activist. She knows what it means to be discriminated against because of the color of her skin. Because when you think about it, she came out around the same time as Alicia Keys. They basically burst onto the scene at the same time. Both of them are artistic. Both of them are gifted. Both of them are talented. But one was propelled before the other one because of skin. If you go bottomline.com, it's because of Alicia Keys. She's closer to whiteness. She's closer to white. She look white. She's now getting to the point where she's like, let me stop wearing all this makeup and be who I am. Yeah, come on, girl. Come on over here to beautiful. So India Ari knows what that feels like. And so she's calling us to a place called beautiful. I hope you help her get there. I hope you help us get there. I'm on the way. Will you join us? That's the question for the day. That's what we're going to leave you here with. That's what we're going to leave you with right here at KABF 88.3 FM. Thank you all for tuning in to the workplace where your regular host is the pastor, Tony Orr. I'm sure he'll be back soon. Y'all stay tuned to KABF 88.3 FM where we are the voice of the people. You want to hear what's coming up next. See y'all next time.